Welcome to the What You Missed podcast, where we talk, debate, and sometimes even argue, but overall let you know what you missed. Thank you so much for joining us on our 6th episode. My name is Andrew, and I'm here with my best bud, Anson. Today, we're going to talk about quarterfinal performances and semifinal games, along with info on Dabo and the transfer portal, and other tidbits of information.
Yeah, we are actually going to do a little other tidbit of information. We'll actually be a little bit about NFL, and I know I watch the Falcons a lot. I don't know if you necessarily do. But a little bit about, this is the first time we've really talked about NFL, but we're going to talk about Kirk Cousins being benched and how that will affect the Falcons and if this is a good move.
Yeah, so more on that. And we might be a little biased, but we will be bringing more NFL in as the college football season is wrapping up. We will be bringing more NFL into it as we're going into like the Super Bowl and stuff like that. And so we'll definitely cover that in our podcast as well. So first thing is, Anson's presenting it, and it's going to be the first round takeaways. So basically how each team performed, basically kind of an evaluation of how each team did, the teams that we're saying goodbye to and the teams that are moving on to the next round.
Yeah, the first game from the top of the bracket to the bottom of the bracket is Clemson versus Texas, and we all expected Texas to win that game. They won 38-24. Takeaways from this game, Texas looked really good. I'm really proud of Clemson, though.
Yeah.
After what they've done over these last few years, they've really struggled, but they should be really happy with their season, being able to have 3 losses, go in there. Even though ending the season with 4 losses, they had a chance. They actually did pretty good. They were one of the top scoring teams that lost. But they actually were the top scoring team. They scored 24 when the other team scored 17, 10, and 17. So they actually did pretty good compared to everybody else. So I would say Clemson did a really good job here. But Texas will be moving on to face Arizona State.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Clemson being the team that we're having to say farewell to, they did really good, and I agree with you. I think they need to, I think they need to be proud of what they accomplished, proud of what they did, and not let them get beat up. Because even getting, yes, while it might be easier because it's not, like Ben said, we already missed Ben, by the way.
Yeah, we very much missed Ben.
But there's 4, like Ben was saying, it's not that 4 elite teams that are like almost unbeatable, except for those other elite teams to beat them. It's not that 4, it's that 12. But still, you should be very proud of yourself for being able to make that championship, especially when you've had these rebuild years where you've been trying to get players, because Clemson was so good.
Yeah, they were.
7, 8, even 6 years ago, and then they kind of just fell off the cliff. But now they're back, and they've definitely rebuilt, and they've definitely gotten some good guys, some good recruits, and we'll actually talk about them.
Yeah, they started using the transfer portal,
which we'll talk about later. But yeah, so Clemson, they're looking really good, and I think they're going to be good in just the years to come.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, second half of the bracket was the Ohio State-Tennessee game. This was the game of the week, and I expected this game to be a lot closer than it was. Ohio State ran away with this game, scoring the most points than anyone, and they won that game 42-17 over Tennessee. And really the takeaways from this game, in my opinion, Ohio State is the best-looking team in the 8 that played.
I agree.
Ohio State, not just because they scored the most, they just made Tennessee's defense, who's been so good all year, look so bad.
Yeah.
And their 2 running backs, Judkins and Henderson, did really good. I mean, I feel like Judkins, every time I saw him get the ball, he was to full speed immediately.
Yeah, and he was getting, to me, what I was saying, he was getting 20-plus yards almost every every possession.
Imagine playing, NCAA and holding down the right trigger, and him just the whole time. It's just like a rubber band wrapped on there, and he's just speeding. It takes him no time to pick up speed. You saw that he had 2 touchdowns, both from the 1-yard line. Henderson had his 2 touchdowns from 24 and 29. So big running day. They had 6 touchdowns total in the game. 4 of them were rushing. There were a lot of rushing touchdowns in this game. But the QB, Will Howard, did a really good job in this game. I know the other big game he really had this season was Oregon, which he struggled, but he did really good in this game.
Yeah, he definitely did. I was definitely impressed with Will Howard. And then, like you said, Tennessee's defense was not what it was.
Yeah, they weren't.
And I couldn't tell if it was because they didn't come out and show what they can do like they normally do. But I really don't think that was the case. I think Ohio State just surprised them. And not just because... Not from a standpoint of, we didn't know Ohio State was this good. They knew Ohio State was good. Everybody knows Ohio State, really good offense.
Right.
But it was just
a ton of money going out and getting players.
Yeah. But it's just shocking in the way of this team is so good. We put our best guys out there. We're putting our best plays out there, and we still can't stop them. What can we do? So you see somebody's defense, such as Tennessee, that strives so well, just falling off a cliff. Just immediately dying. And you can even see it on the players' faces. They were like, what is happening? So, yeah, I mean, they definitely made Tennessee, in a way, look silly because Ohio State was just constantly scoring on them. I think Ohio State's defense also did pretty well, only letting up 17, because I know Tennessee does have a really good offense as well. And so, yeah, I was proud of Ohio State and proud of me and Ben's going all the way pick.
Yeah, I thought Tennessee was going to make this game a lot closer. Yeah, actually, I love how Ben talked about it last week, just the the Tennessee fans trying to storm the horseshoe, and they actually did a pretty good job. When you looked around the stadium, it was actually a lot more than you would expect. But I did like those Ohio State red jerseys. Those look really good. I know we rave a lot about jerseys on this pod, so we love jerseys.
We haven't even gotten to Notre Dame. Hold on. Yeah. So what's number 3?
Number 3 in the bracket was SMU and Penn State, and we weren't surprised too much that Penn State won at home, 38-10. But I really do think if SMU didn't throw 3 interceptions, and 2 of them were pick sixes, by the way, I think they might have had a chance to win that game because they threw another interception in the red zone.
Yeah.
And so if they can capitalize on those drives, one, they change momentum and quiet the very hard stadium to play in.
Yeah.
And 2, they have more points on the board. Like if they took away, let's say,
take away 14 from Penn State and you had 14 at SMU, they won.
Right. I mean, and even the interception in the red zone, Penn State returned. Well, they didn't return it. They cashed in for points, right? So that's 21 points for Penn State and 0 points for SMU. You take away 21 from Penn State, I'm sure they'll score. You could take away a few. I mean, it'd be a really close game.
Yeah, but I'd love to see it be closer.
Right.
And I think it should have been closer if those 3 interceptions didn't happen.
Right. But sadly, that's not how the game turned out. They didn't cash in. And yeah, they had 3 interceptions, and they couldn't get this back.
So it's bye-bye to the SMU Mustangs, or the Elephants, as you tried to trick me. But, I guess you did. I guess. I'll say you did. But anyways, the SMU Mustangs are now gone. Really proud of their season, though. Nobody expected it. They did really good, and I'm hoping that they're going to be good, just as good, if not better, next year. That might not happen, but we'll see. I'm hoping they have a good run because it's fun to watch a team like SMU come out there and win some big games.
Right. And then at the bottom of the bracket, you had number 10, Indiana, and number 7, Notre Dame. And Notre Dame absolutely demolished Indiana. Indiana did not score a touchdown until 1:27 left in the game. They actually did score 2 touchdowns in that 1:27, which is really sort of embarrassing when you're like, look, you had 60 minutes to score a touchdown, and you didn't score it to the last 1 minute and 27 seconds.
Yeah. I actually had a chance to talk to Ben Artsock, and he was like, that was the one I was wrong about. And he goes, you would think it was the Indiana fans who were mad because people were commenting on his stuff. He does the radio show with SiriusXM. But he goes, you would think that the Indiana fans were commenting, but it was actually the Notre Dame fans who were like, why would you underestimate us? You didn't think we could beat Indiana? And so they were actually mad. But so I had a chance to talk to Ben. He was like, I was wrong. Indiana's defenses didn't show anything like they could. And Notre Dame just fair and square beat them. But I don't know if you saw this. But I forget what position he plays. But there was one guy who is originally from China on Notre Dame. And Notre Dame usually doesn't have their last names on their jerseys.
Right.
I don't know if you knew that. But
I knew that.
Last week, they put the last names on the jerseys. But for him, especially, Marcus Freeman, since he was originally from China, he was from there, they put his name in Chinese letters. And it was the really coolest looking jersey. It was such a cool jersey. I loved it so much. I was like, that is such a cool jersey. So, it was super cool. And, I don't know. I like cool jersey designs.
Yeah, we all like cool jerseys on here. So we get it. We all love our whiteouts, too.
Yeah, Penn State whiteouts, man. But, but Indiana just didn't come out and prove. We thought they'd have fire in their bellies after they, lost that one. And then they were like, oh, let's go. Let's be Indiana again. And then it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't. And I do think, I said it last week, I still think Indiana was the worst team in this 12-team playoffs, even though they scored more than SMU did. SMU just made a few mistakes on the offense, so throwing some pick sixes. But they did a lot better than Indiana. Like I said, Indiana didn't even score to 1:27 left in the game. So I do think Indiana was still the worst team in this playoffs. But even though they did, like I said, score more points, did more stuff like that, and actually look, it was actually the closest game. Only 10 points was what it looked like, even though before at 1:28 left in the game, the score was 3-27. So was it really that close of a game, or was it really a blowout? So it looked a lot closer than it actually was. If you didn't watch the game, then you would think it was a lot closer than it actually was. But if you watched the game, you would know that. What the truth was and how this game was just embarrassing for Indiana. Yeah.
Next up, we're just going to talk about a little bit of a rundown about the quarterfinals. So we have these 4 games, and these are the quarterfinals. And then we'll remind you of our picks that we made last week, who it would be. So, basically, me and Anson both picked this one correctly, and Ben. It's Texas, right?
Right.
You picked Texas, I picked Texas.
I picked Arizona State.
What? No. To get here. to get here.
We all picked Texas.
Yeah,
Yes.
everybody picked Texas.
Just a reminder, I picked Arizona
versus
State.
Arizona State. Anson picked Arizona State.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I picked Texas, right?
Yeah, you picked Texas.
Yeah, I picked Texas. Okay.
He doesn't even know.
I don't
second-guessing
remember.
Himself.
Huh?
He's
I
second-guessing
am because I'm like, whoa, maybe because sometimes I fall into the virus and just the sickness of Anson's brain, and he just tricks me. But I also fell into the trap of thinking that Indiana was good or whatever. So yeah, who knows? But yes, I did pick. No, I picked Arizona State.
Oh my goodness, this kid.
I did. I picked Arizona State. I fell into your virus. But no, I see Arizona State as being really good. Now, I'm kind of second-guessing myself because Texas did look really good in that other game. But
last time you second-guessed yourself, you went with Ben's Indiana pick and was wrong.
Yeah. But no, I'm keeping the Arizona State.
Okay,
I'm keeping it.
okay.
I can't change my bracket now.
That's true.
That's not how it works.
That's true.
So yeah, I think Cam Skatebo is really good. And he's going to have to play a really good game. But, yeah, I mean, Texas looked really good, and so that's why I'm like, oh, maybe. But, I don't know. I think it's definitely going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be closer than people think, and I think Arizona just might be able to do it. But it's going to be really hard.
I think so I think what the underdog, because we're going to also go through underdogs. Yeah. What the underdog's going to have to do in this game, by underdog we mean the lower-ranked team. They're not really the underdog, because I think Texas is more projected to beat Arizona State, and Penn State is more projected to beat Boise State, and they're actually supposed to be. But I think for Texas, to be able to win this game, I'm not really nervous about them stopping Cam. How did Ben say it? Skatebo?
No.
Scattaboo.
I always say it wrong.
I like Scattaboo.
Scattaboo is fun.
I like Scattaboo. I'm not concerned about them Scattaboo. I think they can stop the run. They have a really good defensive line. We talked about this last week. But I'm scared. I think the most underrated QB is Sam Levitt.
Yeah,
and
he is very good.
I think he's really good. He has over 2,000. He is really close to 3,000 passing yards on the season. Only 400. 400 away is actually a lot, but like 2,000, 666, something like that. But he's doing a really good job with this team, and I think they underestimate Sam Levitt because he can run, but he can also throw. And so I do think that Sam Levitt is going to change this game because I know that Texas is going to try to stop Cam Skattaboo up front. Mm-hmm. But they need to be ready to be able to stop Sam Levitt. I know they can get through the line. They need to be able to get through the line and get to Sam because he's going to be able to do a lot with his legs and his arm. Yeah,
Ben would disagree with us a lot on this, but he also disagreed with you on Indiana. So I trust it. ESPN actually has it as 12.5 score deficit in Texas's favor.
Right.
So
I'm not surprised about that.
Yeah, they have if you look at like the matchup predictor, it's 80% Texas. But me and you are going the underdog, and I like it.
I like picking underdog. I think Arizona State has been the underdog for the last 2 seasons. Yeah. They were projected to be the bottom of the Big 12, and now they are in the playoffs in the final 8.
Yeah,
like they're underdogs all season. This is where they played their best at.
Yeah.
And they've had more weeks to prepare for this than Texas has. Texas is more beat up than Arizona State is. They're ready for this game.
Yeah.
So I do think the advantage. Fun fact: I picked all of the teams that actually had a bye to win. So I do like to be able to lay on the, oh man, we get a rest. Like that's big. A rest is really big in this game. I know. I think we saw. Just on like the Christmas week. Merry Christmas, by the way, to everyone. Happy New Year. I think we just saw. It was really hard for me to be able to say like, man, these NFL players, like the Chiefs, they played Sunday and then had to go back and play Wednesday. Like that's hard. 3 days of rest is really hard. But when you get, I think they've almost had a month for Arizona State just to be able to rest and be like, okay, we got this. Like we can do this. Like that's really big. And if you think about, but Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Not Notre Dame. And a few other teams like Penn State not playing in a conference game. This is even more of a break.
Yeah.
And so that almost can become an advantage in the future. Like, oh man, we get more of a break and we have a home game, so we don't have to travel.
Yeah.
Like that's a big part of rest. Even though you do have to play in the first round and stuff like that, you still get a pretty big rest. So I think the rest are a big part about it. But I do think Arizona State is gonna have a chance here, and it's 80% makes sense. 12.5 point favorite makes sense. That seems like something that ESPN would do. We've seen more of Texas, but I do think this game's gonna be a lot closer than that.
Yeah, and I do want to touch on that. Okay, and I haven't even briefed Anson on this. This is no note Anson right here, but I just want to know your opinion. I think I've already can tell what your opinion is, but there is a big debate on whether rest hurts or helps the team, or both. Well, I think it's both.
I think it's both too.
Because here's the thing, when you're not playing football, you see that sometimes kind of be like the thing that like brings teams down. Mm-hmm. Like they haven't been in a game. Yes, you have been practicing, but practice is never a substitute for a game. So if you're just doing game situations and stuff like that in practice, that's not actually playing in a game. And so you see, like you said, people like Arizona State. You have Texas, who played a game last week. And who knows, they might, with that experience, you might say, or that, that more recent playing time, that might help Texas and hurt Arizona State. But then also, like you said, just rest in like the conditioning. And also, if you think about it, Arizona State probably has less injury-prone players. I mean, if you really think about it, because Texas has just been on their feet all the time, and Arizona State has had a little bit of time to rest.
Right.
So for me, I think it's both.
Well, for me, I think it depends on the team. I think a lot of people underestimate. I think people don't see that football isn't a physical game. It's also a mind game.
Yeah.
And this reminds me, there's a song from High School Musical. It's like, get your head in the game.
Yeah.
That's what this brings me back to.
Get your head in the game.
Yeah, get your head in the game. Like, that's what this really is. And it's a mind game. Like, one little miss from the kicker loses you the game.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, man, wide left State University. We love to call Ohio State that after. That's what we have a few friends that call it that after they missed the kick versus Georgia a few years ago to send them to the national championship.
Yep, so they're wide left State University.
The wide left because they hit really wide left. So it's just like it's a mind game. Like,
yeah.
That's why they ice the kicker. That's why they do stuff like that. So I do think it depends. Like, if rest helps you more to prepare, then yes. But if it's like a break and it's like, I'm not even thinking about this, like I have more time to think about other stuff in life, then that's like, you need to be able to have your mind there. If your mind's like getting you more prepared for it, more practice time, like that's good. But it just depends on the team, the person. I do agree with you. It is both.
Yeah, and even it could be more mentally daunting, like because sometimes if you think about something like so hard, you're like, oh, we have this game, that make you more nervous or more scared and not play as good.
Right.
Who knows? Anyways, I went on a long rant about breaks. Anyways, number 2 is Ohio State versus Oregon. Now I know I picked Ohio State.
Well, here's what I said last week. I said if Oregon beats Tennessee, I would pick Ohio State. But because I picked Tennessee to beat Ohio State, which is obviously the wrong choice, I picked Oregon. So I do have Oregon to win this game. I do think Ohio State will win this game. This is really complicated right now because
basically, yeah.
Look, Oregon, I picked Oregon to win, but Ohio State's going to win. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, basically what you're saying is you picked Tennessee over Ohio State. So then this game for you on your bracket is Oregon versus Tennessee.
Right.
But if you went back and you had Ohio State win the game, then you would pick Ohio State to beat Oregon.
Correct.
That's what he's saying, guys. If that wasn't clear the first time, maybe it's clear the second time. I don't know.
We got it.
So basically, I agree. I picked Ohio State to win that game, the Ohio State-Tennessee game. And then I picked Ohio State to win Oregon. We've said it all year, and everybody says it. It's hard to beat a team twice. Now, that's not always the case.
Right. As you said, Georgia beat Texas twice.
Yeah, Georgia beat Texas twice.
I was really surprised about that.
I almost thought they were going to have to beat them 3 times, and they still could.
They still might. They might have to go to the national championship
an opportunity
and play a third time.
That they play them a third time, which that would be kind of hilarious.
That'd be sort of funny to be able to play in the regular season, the championship for your division. Not division, conference. They're done with
your conference championship,
and then go play in the national championship.
Yeah,
that's convenient. That's just funny. Like
that is funny.
Like you can say, we played in every spot possible.
Because then you could say, well, let's say even if Texas won that national championship versus Georgia, we're just going on rants today, Anthony. I'm sorry if this is boring.
I like rants.
But basically, like if Texas beats Georgia in the national championip, right? Is
cry.
Texas really? But would Texas really be the better team?
This is the confusing part because it's always like this. We talked about. I believe we talked about this a few weeks ago. It's like
I think so.
Oh well, Alabama and South Carolina. Well, Alabama beat South Carolina, but like Alabama also beat Georgia, but Georgia's over Alabama. So like,
yeah,
it's really confusing. But Vanderbilt beat Alabama. So like, is Vanderbilt higher than Georgia and Alabama?
Maybe. Who knows?
Like it's just hard because then like it's like, oh well. This is getting really complicated. Mm-hmm. It gets really confusing. So
I don't know, but like
it's hard to be able to put it like that. So I do think it's just different. It's an adjusting point. I think that's just how if it plays out like that, it plays out like that. You can't really determine who's the better team. It's not like a best of 3 anything. It's just like you have one game unless you get lucky and play 3 times like Georgia and Texas could. But I don't think they will because the Arizona State Sun Devils are going to beat Texas.
But yeah, so you have you have Oregon, you have Ohio State. Like we said, Oregon and Ohio State have already played in the regular season. Ohio State lost because Will Howard slid 1 second too late, and they couldn't kick the field goal.
Right.
And I think Ohio State's offense has just been too dominant, and I think they're going to carry into this next game. I could be wrong.
That's my key underdog. You actually have that's the underdog. You want to win this game, you carry the momentum from the last game to this game. And that is how you're going to win this game. You need to stop Oregon, but the main thing is carry the momentum you had going into Tennessee and bring it to the Oregon game and absolutely beat Oregon.
Yeah.
Use the mind game. The mind game. It all goes back to the mind game.
My key is always, please don't get too cocky. If you're like, oh, yeah, we're the best, we're the greatest, are you really the best because you didn't get a bye?
That is true. And you already lost to Oregon.
So you're not really the best.
And you lost to Michigan. Again.
So you beat Tennessee. Bring that momentum that you brought into Tennessee into Oregon. Prove yourself. Just prove yourself. Like, you want to prove yourself. Don't get all, oh, yeah, we're the best, because you're not the best.
Right.
Until you prove it.
Right.
You are never the best until you prove it. So go out there and prove it. That's what all these teams need to do. Now, we have another team. Penn State versus Boise State. Me and Anton were the biggest Penn State doubters.
What do you mean? I'm going to Penn State as the ball boy. I'm the Penn State lover.
Okay.
You're a doubter.
No,
I'm a Notre Dame.
Doubted Penn
I'm the
State
Notre
too.
Dame doubter. He's the Penn State doubter.
So you're saying you did.
Okay, well, we did both doubt Penn State for a while because we didn't see their offense until the Oregon game.
That's true.
And then we saw their offense and we were like, oh, yeah, they got this.
Yeah, well, I picked SMU, so.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Just for fun. But, yeah, Penn State, we definitely saw their offense in the past little bit, and I like they will beat Boise State. Do you think they beat Boise State?
I said people who get the bye are going to win this game. I think Boise State is going to win this game. I think Ashton Janty is going to run over Penn State's defense. Ashton Janty has had weeks to prepare for this defense. Or a defense. I mean, I think they were more preparing for Penn State than they were at SMU. But I think Ashton Janty is going Ashton Janty and Boise State is going to beat Penn State. I really do.
Guys, please go to www.newhost.com and apply to be my new podcast host because I'm going to have to fire this one.
That's crazy.
I'm just kidding. That's not that bad of a take, but I think Penn State will be.
How can you fire me?
Just on like...
We are equal here.
You're fired. Too bad. I'm just kidding. I would never get rid of you, probably. But yeah, I think that is true. But I think what Boise State has done, and I'm not saying Boise State doesn't have other good players, but I think what Boise State has done is just heavily rely on Janty. And I think that's going to be hard, especially because they're playing a very established school, a very established team, and I just don't think it'll happen. But we'll have to find out.
That is true. Well, you also picked Indiana. I'm just saying.
This guy's going to hold this thing over my head forever. Last one.
I'm going to be right. That's all that matters.
Okay. Last one is Notre Dame versus Georgia.
We all picked Georgia.
Yeah,
we both picked Georgia.
We both picked Georgia.
The only way Notre Dame wins this game is that they really have to use no Carson Beck as an advantage. So
yeah.
Actually, he just declared for the 2025 NFL draft, which is a little surprising. Not surprising, but with his arm getting hurt, I think he has to be able to settle for third or fourth round pick instead of being able to be the top is what he wanted.
Because the thing is, if he comes, you see it in MLB all the time. Usually, the surgery that he has to get is called Tommy John.
Right.
Right? And it's usually a baseball-related injury where pitchers go too rough on their arms and kind of snap that ligament. But for him, when he was throwing it, it just kind of snapped. So this surgery,
they grabbed his arm and then he was throwing and they pulled his arm. It's one of the most dangerous ways to get hurt. Mm-hmm. It's either like you going to for a QB. It's either like you going to throw the ball, and someone pulling back on your arm, or like you sliding and your knees getting caught underneath you and then your whole leg gets like thing and then your bone sticks out of your body like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, but to me, I think leg injuries would be better as a quarterback.
Yeah, probably.
Because your arm is your talent.
It's your trophy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep that thing healthy. But I mean, yeah, I think, and the thing is, what we saw with Gunnar Stockton, when he came in there, the momentum almost went up. Like they almost looked like they got better, if not affected at all.
Right.
So I think Gunnar Stockton, while he's a true freshman, correct?
No, he's
redshirt.
He has been in there for. So what Georgia has sort of done out in the past, I know you wouldn't know this as a Tech fan.
Yeah, I have zero.
But what Georgia does in the past is they've all sat almost all of our QBs sit for 2 years behind, unless they move like Brock Vandegrift went to Kentucky.
Yeah.
But they'll all sit behind the QB for 2 years, right? And so they get to learn a ton of stuff, right? And so I believe he is a junior.
Huh.
Yes.
So I apologize.
Or a sophomore. Yeah, I believe he's a junior. Actually, he might be a sophomore, and then he's a junior next year. I think I believe. Well, something like that. I don't know, but anyways, he looked really, really good in the Texas game. He played the whole second half, and they won the game still. So I do think that he's actually been doing a really good job.
Yeah, and he definitely has a good arm, good awareness. Yeah, I think he's a junior.
Yeah,
but,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, he definitely has good awareness. And while he doesn't have experience like this, playing in a quarterfinals game for trying to get to the national championship, I think he has tools. He has some good tools with that Georgia offense. So I think Georgia will still win this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, well, we have gone through sort of our takeaways and the quarterfinals, and we're going to get a little bit into a few other things, just like some topics. We talked about this a little bit earlier, and we said we were going to mention it. So Dabo finally, after so many years, the transfer portal, he finally uses it. And, like, why is he doing this so late, and why wouldn't he do it?
Yeah, I can't remember if this is, like, I can't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago.
I believe it was last week.
But Anson talked about Clemson just not using the transfer portal, and then they did it. It was like
because Ben was talking about it last week. He was like, Dabo not going to use it. Like,
it was like 2 or 3.
Because we were talking about Bo Prabula, I think is how you say his name, transferring from Penn State before the finals.
Yeah.
Like, before he actually got to play in the playoffs and got to play for another team because, because then we were talking about, I gave the Survivor analogy. Yeah. And other stuff like that. And so.
That was good, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I tried my best. Yeah. It was.
But yeah, I think it's surprising because Dabo is almost like what we were talking about with like the Nokia and the iPhone.
Right.
You remember that analogy too?
Yeah, that was
we
a
were
good
just
one.
full of
That was a good
analogies.
One too.
But yeah, I think he was definitely like the old phone, or sorry, not the Nokia, the BlackBerry.
The BlackBerry.
It was the
BlackBerry.
Yeah.
The one that I was like, ooh, the food.
But yeah, like, so I think Dabo was almost one of the BlackBerries of
college football.
And now he's using the transfer portal for the first time ever, I think, right?
Right.
So,
first time ever. He's never used it before.
Yeah, this is surprising to me. I didn't think he would use it. I thought that he would stick around and just be this recruitment guy because almost to me, I thought Dabo would want to say, look at me. All these other schools are recruiting to the transfer portal like crazy, and I'm just recruiting college freshmen to come to my school.
Right.
And so I didn't think he would use the transfer portal, but he did.
Right. I think this is really good for Dabo, and I think this is really good for his team. And I mean, they haven't said anything about it, but maybe even his career.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer Clemson would have kept a coach that doesn't use the resources he has.
Yeah.
And I get why he didn't use it. Like Ben talked about it last week with Bo leaving, like we said, Bo leaving Penn State. And it just isn't right. I mean, like we talked about, like, it's just wrong. I mean, with Dabo being a Christian, I mean, it's right. Like, he has the right view of this, right? And it says in James, it says, like, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And so when someone says they're going to go to a team, like, they shouldn't just change. And I do think that's sort of where Dabo is getting this. Like, you committed to a team. You shouldn't be entering the transfer portal to change teams. Like, you said you were going to play with this team.
Yeah, you had that commitment.
You said you were going to go to college with this team. And you're, like... the transfer portal is more than just football. College classes. I mean, like you are changing your whole class. I mean, even if you want to go to the NFL, it doesn't really matter what your classes are. You're changing all of your classes from this and giving up your teachers, giving up everything. Like, you have to pay for stuff unless you have a full ride scholarship. Yeah. But, like, you're giving up a ton here to be able to move even across states with what you have to do sometimes just for something like that. And I think that's where Dabo's going with this. Like, you shouldn't be able to do that. Like, that's just not the right point of view. But I do think that he needed this for his career. And if he was going to do this, then by career, I mean, like, he might have not. I don't think his career would have been done. Somebody else would have definitely come and got him. I'm pretty sure. But like, really, I think people want to use the transfer portal because this is what they have. These are resources that can help them. And we saw, I forget his name, but a really good Alabama player last year after Nick Saban left, went to Ohio State, and now he's really just been great at Ohio State, great on the defensive side. I forget his name, but they were talking about him on game day a few weeks ago. So I do think that this is a whole. It's a hard topic. It's a hard choice, but. Yeah. I'm glad he did it. I think it was good for him. I think it was good for his. I mean, like I said, his career. Like I was really scared that I didn't know how much longer they were gonna keep him. I've always loved Dabo. I've always really respected Dabo.
Yeah.
For being a Christian, I think him just being able to stand out like that, it's really hard to do in popularity when you want to be popular. So
Yeah.
I do think he's done a great job though, and I think they'll be good in the future. But Cade Klubnik is doing a really good job at Clemson though. Just like to point him out. I think he's just done such a good job there, and I really love Cade Klubnik there. But I think Dabo made a good choice here by doing this.
I think almost it's like forcing his hand, right? Like he had to stay relevant, to make sure his team was going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
He had to. Like he had no other choice. All these other teams are doing it, and so it's almost like you're. Let's here. We'll have another analogy for you. Okay.
All right.
You've been 80 laps on your tires. This is gonna be a NASCAR analogy. Okay.
Oh, I like.
You've been 80 laps on your tires. Okay, and everybody else is going into the pit lane.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting new tires. Well, they're gonna fly by you, right?
Right.
So the only chance you have to stay relevant, to stay in that race, is to go get new tires.
I like that analogy.
You're gonna get passed like crazy, and so Clemson would just fall to the bottom if they kept trying to just only recruit. And so yeah, I think it was something he had to do to be able to stay relevant.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Now we have some hometown news, and basically, and I would love to know what our fans think about this, but me personally, I think Kirk Cousins benched and then probably going to be cut.
Yeah, they are. The news is he's going to be cut, sadly.
Yeah, I don't think it's official.
I've always loved Kirk Cousins. Right? I loved him in Minnesota, and now he's at the Falcons, and they're like, oh, we're going to cut you. I'm like, what?
Big Kirk.
Excuse me? Like,
well, he hasn't been cut yet, right?
No, he's not supposed to be cut till March, but he's due, like, I believe by the time he gets to March, I think he's, I don't remember.
I think it's $10 million.
We were doing the math.
Like
My fellow was doing the math. I think he got paid for for the amount of games he played. He got something like $6 million. I mean, it was something like that. I don't exactly remember what it was, but it was a ton of money for just the games he played. So I mean, like we talked about in the past, money just flows around the sport in all sports. So
yeah, but still, it's crazy, and I think this is a smart strategy, and you see it with people like the 49ers. I think Brock Purdy's contract expires this year. But Brock Purdy, he's fine. He's getting NIL money, stuff like that. But he's got a really low contract. Like they're paying him because it's a draft contract, and they didn't expect Brock Purdy to be their starting quarterback so quickly. And it's the same with Michael Penix. Like he's not getting that much money because he was the backup.
Yeah.
And so so end of this year, Brock Purdy will get a new contract. But Michael Penix Jr. is on this contract right now, right?
Yeah.
So Michael Penix Jr.
I believe so. Something like that.
Is on this salary right now where it's really small, and so this is a good saver of money right now, at least.
Wait a minute. Really small?
What?
Isn't the exact word we're looking for. Bud is getting paid like $6 million.
Okay, but
I don't have $6 million.
But
I don't even have $1 million.
It's small. It's in
small compared
it's in
to
the
what
bottom 5%.
Patrick Mahomes is getting paid.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's in like the bottom 5% of like starting quarterback salaries.
Right.
So it might save money and it might get us another player. So I like it. And one, I like seeing Michael Penix Jr. throw with his left hand. That's pretty cool.
I do.
But two, I liked his awareness.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I just feel like he saw more of the field than Kirk Cousins did, at least in that one game that we saw. So I don't know.
Right.
I liked his performance.
I think one of the funny things is like at the beginning of the year, the Falcons, like we got Kirk Cousins. We actually went after him early and they got fined for it. And then we were like, first pick of the draft. Ooh, what are we gonna do? Who are we gonna give Kirk Cousins a wide receiver or something like that? Okay, guys, let's go get a quarterback. Kirk Cousins was like mad. He was like, guys, what in the world? Like you just signed me to a deal and now you're gonna draft a quarterback. Like I could use a good target. I mean, I know they got Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod. I like saying Ray McLeod. I like Ray McLeod. He's one of my favorite people on the team. But so I do think he has targets, but it was weird just being able to go draft a QB, and now everyone's like, oh, that was such a good move going to draft a QB. Like, oh, that was so smart because you knew Kirk Cousins was just gonna like throw in the towel and like absolutely stink because you just knew like.
Yeah, but like the funny thing was like everybody was like, what are you doing? And now they're like, oh yeah,
like great idea. I think like one of the hardest things though between like benching, the hardest thing for me to think about is like you're benching a veteran in the game and putting in a rookie. I mean like the difference is amazing. Like you're putting in a lefty over right. I mean, like, I know it's different. It's a lot more different in baseball, but like even it has to throw you off a little bit when you see a whole different arm angle when you're a wide receiver or a running back even on the side of the ball. It's like
especially lefty to righty.
Right, especially lefty to righty. And so I do think it's a big start, and so I do think it's a hard choice to make. But I think so far after seeing the first game, they did only play the Giants though.
Yeah.
So I would like to see like how they're going to do. They're playing the Commanders, and then they have a few teams that really need to step up now. I think Kirk Cousins was really strong. I think he threw 9 interceptions and 1 touchdown in the last 5 games he played or something like that. So I do think he's going to be strong. I think this was the right choice.
Yeah, I think it was too. And I like Michael Penix Jr. He's a cool guy. Came from Washington, and
he also played at Indiana. Don't forget Indiana.
Indiana, then Washington.
Yeah, right.
But he really helped Washington get to
right. He already stepped up Washington.
Yeah, the
Him
finals.
And killing DeBoer, so that's what you get drafted. I do think the whole like, oh man, like you can only have like it takes one good year. Like you can have one good year in the big rounds. Like Cam Ward. Have you ever heard of Cam Ward's name before the season?
Never. But he's the
projected
ACC
to be
MVP of the year.
Right. He's projected to be like a top 10 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
I just find it really crazy. Like you have Jalen Monroe, whose name has been around the sport, Carson Beck, whose name has been around the sport forever, but one good season.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And push you into just glory.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like, you know how long it took Bo Nix to actually have a good season?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great pick. I mean, the Broncos are doing great, but like Bo Nix didn't even have a good season until he went to Oregon.
Yeah. Well,
so,
I think it's crazy because you're like, well, the NFL isn't 1 year. Like you don't use a quarterback for 1 year. So what if he just had this one breakout year and then you draft him and you get him and he's not as good as he was?
Right.
So that's the worry for me is like what you're saying, like these 1 year stars, these guys who do really good and then they enter the draft.
Right.
And so yeah, I think it's kind of scary.
Yeah, but obviously it's working just fine because they're all doing wonderful in the NFL. Bo Nix and the Broncos are having one of the best seasons I've only been watching NFL for a few years, but the Broncos haven't been this good. Yeah. I mean it's obviously working. I mean, there's been some like Caleb Williams, like that might have not been the best pick. Like, should have gone Jaden Daniels first, and you would actually be doing better right now because you have so many good wide receiver targets with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. But you don't have a good QB. Like, I mean, Bears, yeah, that was rough. But I do think like the whole QB situation it's really hard to handle. So I think so far right now the Falcons made the right choice on this, and I'm happy that maybe we can actually make a run for a title this year, not let the Chiefs just like run away with it again.
No, but yeah, I mean,
I'm tired of the Chiefs.
I agree that you're saying
Taylor
though.
Swift.
Like, don't listen to us. Like, we clearly don't know what we're talking about because C.J. Stroud has done really good.
Okay, that's true. C.J. Stroud he has a better year his first year. Sure, I'm not saying that there are. I am saying that there are QBs that. Yeah, I am saying that there are QBs that are bad, but I'm also saying I got it right. I'm also saying that there are QBs that are really good, and that one good season can push them to victory. So, I do think it's really different though, just between all that. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
So now we get to our
the what you missed section.
If I could copyright one section of our podcast, I think it'd be this because it's what you missed.
Yeah, that's like the what you missed.
It's our name, but yeah, the what you missed section. Just a little bit of thing. We only have MLB.
Nope.
Oh.
Guys, hear me out. Vanderbilt beat Georgia Tech. This is awesome.
I'm sure this guy was playing this for days, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna."
I actually just came up with it. I was just thinking about it. Andrew was telling me, "Oh, Josh, Vanderbilt stinks," and then they won. I told him Vanderbilt was gonna win.
Well, when you got,
I had to throw this out here.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Okay, we lost Singleton Jr. to Auburn, and we didn't really know what to do without him.
That is true.
So we just kind of ran the ball, and it didn't work.
Diego Pavia. I love Diego Pavia. He's so great.
He's actually. I don't know
He's
if you saw
actually
this.
really good.
I don't know if you saw this. We can actually talk about this for a second. Side note, he's actually in a court case.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And he's trying to make the claim that he doesn't think that he was in like a really small community college. I think it was JUCO.
Mm-hmm.
He was in this really small college, and then he got to Vanderbilt. And he's trying to make the case. I think he's 26 or 27. How old is he?
I don't know.
I have no clue. But
I don't usually check people with ages.
I don't know. I think they said it though. But yeah, he's definitely not young. I don't think he's in his college years. But he's trying to get even more years because he's saying that it shouldn't count because he wasn't playing real competition. And here's kind of the thing, and we won't touch on it for long because we already kind of talked about it with Ben Hartsock last week. If you haven't watched the episode, by the way, please go watch it.
Yes.
Ben was great, a great guest, our first guest, but also a very great guest, and definitely know what knows what he's talking about because he is on a radio show for SiriusXM. But he was talking about how it's almost easier for people or better for people like Drew Aller. Oh, he's 23.
He's only 23.
My bad. But he's trying to get even more
Andrew.
years. I'm sorry. But he's trying to get even more years because he's trying to make that case that those community college or those really low competition games shouldn't count because he wasn't actually playing real competition. And here's where Ben was making the case that for some people, some players, staying in college football is better and more profitable because of all these NIL deals and all these scholarship stuff now.
Right.
Like you see, like he was talking about Drew Aller, the Penn State quarterback.
Penn State QB.
Yeah. He's coming back for one more year because he doesn't think he's going to do that well in the draft. I mean, and he wants money. He doesn't want to go and sit and be a backup quarterback in the NFL. He'd rather come back, play one more year, and get the bag. Right. And so I think, Diego
need that money.
I don't think Diego Pavia.
Pavia.
Is that how you say it? I don't know. I don't think he is going to be that high of a pick in the draft, but he's definitely getting money
if he goes to the draft.
If he goes to the draft. But he's definitely getting money from Vanderbilt, and I think he wants to extend that. I think that is one of the only reasons he wants to stay.
Yeah, the transfer portal, it's definitely an interesting thing. Like, you see Eric Singleton Jr., like, it's hard because we saw it was Jahmyr Gibbs that transfers from Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. And, like, there's people that are moving that, like, if you still had these players on a team, like, your team might actually be good.
Thanks, Anthony.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about any team that's traded away. Okay. Yeah. I'm not just talking. I don't always throw Georgia Tech under the bus. Just most of the time.
Just most of the time.
Just most of the time when I have a chance. Like when Vanderbilt absolutely beat Georgia Tech.
Okay, buddy.
Woo! Go Commodores. All right.
But yeah, I think it's just hard with the money. We won't bore you with the talk because we talked about it last week. But yeah, just all the money things are just crazy with the college.
Yeah, the transfer portal is definitely a interesting thing.
Yeah. And NIL deals too.
And NIL deals. Those are all. NIL deals are starting to finally get into big. Like Carson Beck's was getting paid like $4 million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like $4 million. Like I don't even have $1 million. I don't even have like.
Well, yeah, I don't
have enough money.
You have.
I'm gonna go broke. Donate to my GoFundMe.
And
I don't have a GoFundMe.
I'll just mention this because we live in Georgia and we were scared because our team was going to play Carrollton and their quarterback is in high school and has $1 million NIL deal.
Right.
He's a high schooler.
Right.
And so this is crazy. We're just giving money to random people like that. But yeah, anyways.
All right, now we only have MLB.
Now we only have MLB.
So I randomly come up with something else to throw Georgia Tech under the bus.
Crazy. 3 quick things. First, Corbin Burns is now a Diamondback.
I was shocked. I wasn't ready for this.
You were or you weren't?
I wasn't.
I was not. Because
I
didn't even hear Corbin Burns. I didn't even
hear Diamondbacks.
I didn't hear the Diamondbacks.
Maybe I wasn't
in the
keeping
talk
up
for
with
Corbin.
them.
Yeah, but I didn't hear the Diamondbacks in the talk for Corbin Burns.
Still waiting on the Braves to sign somebody. Hey, we did get Brian Ellie De La Cruz. No, wait, no.
No, Brian Ellie De La Cruz.
Brian De La Cruz.
I don't think we talked about that.
Look, if we got Ellie De La Cruz as our shortstop, I would be a happy man, okay? It's just wishful thinking, wishful speaking.
Yeah, well, we'll touch on Brian De La Cruz really briefly because I don't think we touched on him.
We have.
The Braves got Brian
We did
De La
something.
Cruz. We did something. We signed a guy with a negative WAR.
Woo!
That's not really good, but
I know.
Negative wins above replacement.
Hey, well, it's better than us trading for Griffin Canning, and then
letting him go,
and then the Mets picking him up.
Yeah, just making our.
What are we
harder.
doing?
I don't know, but yeah, we got Brian De La Cruz. We're just happy because we just wanted to move.
Look, yes.
You could have traded away our whole team away.
We just wanted a new player to cheer for after Jared Kelenic has been benched.
Yeah.
I love Jared Kelenic. I don't understand. I trust in the Braves.
This guy.
Anyways, I'm going to cry. Absolute emotional breakdown on the pod.
I'm just going to keep saying. Every time I speak, you're just going to interrupt me. I see what it is, Anson.
Did you talk?
Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't like Tech fans talk a lot. They talk too much. Go Commodores.
Okay. And then Teoscar Hernandez signed back to the Dodgers. I don't think this wasn't a surprise to me after the Dodgers had such a good run and he has such good teammates, Mm-hmm. And so this wasn't a surprise to me. Was it a surprise to you, Anson?
No, I wasn't shocked.
Yeah, I wasn't either. And finally, we have Gleyber Torres, who in my watching MLB, I have only seen Gleyber Torres in a Yankees uniform, and so this is like new territory for me.
You said the same thing about Nestor Cortez.
I know. I feel like it's just Yankees. I can only see them in Yankees uniforms.
It's hard because, like, look, when you never watch baseball, you all know the name Babe Ruth. It's like the name that always comes to your mind, and, like, you don't even see him as a Red Sox like he was. You always see him as a Yankee.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, yeah, you always see people in the Yankees uniform more than you see people in the other person's uniform.
Yeah, but Gleyber Torres is going to the Tigers. I was honestly kind of surprised because I thought the Yankees were happy with Gleyber Torres.
Right.
But he's gone now. He's to the Tigers, and I think this is a good move for the Tigers.
Right. I mean, like, back to the Yankees thing. I mean, even Juan Soto, I know he's played for this is for a different team. I still see him as a Yankee every time. I picture Juan Soto. I'm like, oh, look, Yankee for a uniform. I just don't see another uniform.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Sorry if we yacked a little bit or went off topic, but, sometimes that's what makes the podcast fun.
Wait a minute. I think we forgot to mention. Shohei Ohtani's wife is pregnant. Shohei is gonna have a son. Oh no, wait, a child. We don't know the gender yet.
But if it is a son, actually, if it was a girl, it could still go to the MLB.
Well, his wife plays basketball, so.
Or basketball.
Do you know,
so
like,
this
the
is just gonna
that
be
like have like cross sports. It's like, oh man, like they're gonna be this, or like I think Simone Biles. It was she is married to one of the Bears defensive players. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, if you have a son, they're gonna become a football player. If you're like, it's not like what did it stink? If you're like, you had a child, and they're like, Dad, I don't want to do that. Or like, Mom, I don't want to do that career. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like you're not following my dream.
It's like if Ronaldo Jr. was like, I don't want to play soccer.
Right. It's like that. It's like that. That Progressive commercial. Where it's like, get back out on the field, son. It's Jamie, and it's like, this is your dream, Dad, not mine. I always wanted to be a progressive, like.
Yeah.
That was so random.
Progressive commercials now. No, but yeah, I mean, he can be a truly athletic weapon, or he's not. You don't know. We're not gonna put expectations on Shohei's son or daughter. But
what about the dog? What about Ben? His name is Ben, right?
Ben.
I don't remember Ben. What's Shohei's dog's name?
Ben. Are you really about to look it up?
Look,
we don't have time for this.
We always have time for dogs.
But
like, look, in loving memory of Herb Street's dog Ben. That might be where I got the Ben. I was really sad when he died. I was really sad.
Definitely where you got the Ben.
It was something like that. Decoy.
Decoy. I don't know.
Decoy. I look. That's where I got Ben from. Herb Street's.
So the dog, I guess, is gonna be really athletic. Is that what you're saying?
Look, I don't know. I'm just.
Anyways, we're rambling. I don't really know what we're talking about, but we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.